Good evening. I'm Jeanette Pollard, and I'm the host of Culture, Class, and Consciousness. We thank you so much for tuning in this evening. I will introduce my guest in just a minute. However, let me read some announcements and make some announcements. Go to my Facebook page to read the story about the black police officer in Minneapolis who is being charged with the murder of a white Australian woman. There was an outcry about her death. If you recall, it was last year, I think during the summer, she was out walking her dog and something ensued and he shot her. It's so ironic that there's been an outcry about him killing her when there have been many black people who have been shot by the police, and there has not been even a level of outcry. I think the police chief even said that he didn't act responsibly. And how many white, Darren Wilson didn't act responsibly. All of these others, I think one who's getting 20 years for killing somebody, Walter Scott, shooting him in the back 8 times. So this is so ironic that there is not even honor amongst the blue folks, the folks in blue. The black man who was charged with assault, and his name is DeAndre Harris, a black man who was beaten and later charged with assaulting a white nationalist during the Unite the White. If there's a picture that went viral, that he's down on the ground in the entrance of a parking garage, and he is being kicked and beaten. But yet he was the one who was charged he was found not guilty on last Friday after footage of Harris's beating at the rally went viral. Harold Cruz, a North Carolina lawyer and chairman of the state's League of the South, brought a battery charge against this man. And he convinced a magistrate to file charges against Harris. The person who wrote this article, which appears in the Daily Kos, KOS.com, says that he said, "This is what white privilege looks like. 20 guys can beat you to a near pulp on camera and nobody gets arrested and nobody goes to court. But a young black guy who swings a flashlight at an old racist guy while he's trying to help defend somebody else who's getting beat up, he gets charged." Harris, DeAndre Harris, is just lucky that he dodged this particular bullet, because losing this case could have led to 12 months in jail and a $2,500 fine, which would go just wonderful with his cracked skull. He incurred a cracked skull. That is just some of the announcements that I have. I have one more, and that is about Shiloh Baptist Church. Shiloh Baptist Church is going to celebrate their 39th anniversary of their gospel choir. And I had a short history here and then it disappeared. And somebody went through a lot of trouble. The historian of Shiloh, Deacon Judy Williams, went through a lot of trouble to send this to me, and I'm going to pull it up once again because I had it and it disappeared. Anyway, Shiloh Baptist Church's gospel choir is going to celebrate with a concert during the 10:55 worship service on Sunday. So for those of you who who are interested and want to hear some great gospel music, please come and hear the gospel choir. I am going to definitely stay. I'm singing at the first service, but I'm going to definitely stay and hear. Here's just a brief history. The Shiloh Gospel Choir was born 39 years ago when the late Reverend Dr. Henry C. Gregory III decided that gospel music would make a great addition to the thriving Shiloh music ministry. He convened a meeting with the late Andrew C. Rowe, a renowned gospel music artist, Miss Sammy Ellis, and Miss Frances Juanita Carter to plan for this. Andrew Rowe passed the mantle of directorship to Everett P. Williams, who is a phenomenal musician in his own right. He led the gospel choir for 17 years before he relocated to another city. Then Dr. Thomas Dixon Tyler, who has been on this broadcast a couple of times, took over and directed the choir for several years. Now, the mantle of director is on Clark A. Perry, who is a two-time graduate of Mercer University in Georgia. In their 39 years in existence, they have sung for Presidents Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, Barack Obama. They have been on nationally televised music programs in performance at the White House and at the annual Christmas show, NBC's Christmas show in Washington. So again, we hope that you come out on Sunday at 10:55 and listen to the phenomenal music of the great Shiloh Gospel Choir. To my right is a phenomenal poet. I heard him for the first time when he spoke at the debate of the decade last February 2017, over a year ago, and I've seen him a couple of times since then. And the last time I saw him was at a rally at Ballou High School. I was covering that, and I was just fascinated by how he does his presentation. So I am going to introduce him, and we're going to have an unusual interview. My guest is premier poet and author Stephen Silver, who is, by the way, an identical twin. His identical twin is Seth.
Silver.
I remember the name Seth Silver. Stephen, would you be so kind as to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. Greetings, family and friends, colleagues and clergy, guests, sisters, brothers, and listening agents undercover. Like Brother Malcolm used to say, everybody's here. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Stephen Silver, formerly known as the American Griot, now orator, poet, activist. That makes me an oropatist. I am your brother, your fellow freedom fighter, doing my very best to fight for the full and complete and unadulterated liberation, the freedom, the justice, the equality of the black man and black woman here in the hills and the hills of North America. I am a proud product of the Civil Rights Movement. I am a proud product of the Black Muslim movement. Both movements unequivocally and equally great. I am the synthesis of Martin's love and Malcolm's hate. And for those who don't know me, for those who don't have a clue, let me just say right now that I'm pleased to meet you, and for all others who just don't know it, I am the one they call the poet.
All right. What time is it?
It's time for us to wake up.
Okay.
Never has there been a time so crucial to break our silence, a time to stand up and to speak out on what we feel is right and just, a time to cast away the modern day shackles that have left us bound, disabled, undetermined, yet undeterred. A time to redirect our resources and to look to none other than ourselves to solve the problems that have become uniquely and inherently ours. A time to take our place as a people in an ever-increasing, ever-changing mix that we call America.
All right. What exactly is your mission, Stephen?
I'm glad you asked.
Okay.
My goal, my mission, is to speak to the condition of hurting people, of poor people, of powerless people, be it African, be it Native, be it Hispanic, Asian, or Caucasian, hurting people, be it man, be it woman, be it boy, be it girl. My goal is nothing short than to change the world, starting with myself, my family, my community, my people, being fully persuaded that hurt is hurt and pain is pain, irregardless of race, creed, or color. And in the end, I want to bear witness that I was a true follower of Jesus the Christ, that I offered my life as the ultimate and supreme sacrifice.
All right. You say in your writings that we should be mindful that we are not raising a generation of cowards. Would you expound?
Yes. We must be careful. We must be mindful that we're not raising a generation of cowards. We must be careful, we must be mindful that we're not transferring our cowardice on to our children.
Oh.
For our children, our babies are looking to us. So we must teach them, train them to fight with those who fight with us. Teach them, train them, mold them, and make them. Teach them the hidden power behind the spoken word. Teach them how to transform mere words into powerful, thoughtful expressions. Loose the knot in their tongues. Teach them not to be cowards, but to be bold and brave from the cradle to the grave.
All right. Why do you call yourself a ghost?
Because I'm a ghost. America, white America. I'm not afraid of you, but you should be afraid of me, for you cannot censor nor silence me. I'm a ghost. I'm the ghost of Nat Turner. I'm the ghost of Emmett Till. I'm the ghost of Trayvon Martin. I'm the ghost of Eric Garner. I'm the ghost of Michael Brown. I'm the ghost of Tamir Rice. I'm the ghost of Sandra Bland. I'm the ghost of Freddie Gray. And we as a people will not be dismayed or daunted. America, you will forever be haunted. I'm not some sissified, punctified, pacifist leader. I'm a strong, courageous black man. I'm a stone-cold, modern-day black nationalist poet, freedom fighter, fighting for the freedom, justice, and equality of the black man and black woman here in the hills and hills of North America. White America, I'm not afraid of you, and I will have the last word. And that word is boo.
Oh, that's so great. You say that we as black people cannot find justice here in America, and I just read an announcement about how this man who was beaten to a pulp was charged. Would you expound on how we can't find justice in America?
Justice. They're filling their jails and prisons with seemingly just us.
Okay.
But seriously, since we as blacks historically have not and seemingly cannot find justice, we are compelled to send a strong and clear message in that we want justice, and we want justice or else, and we will have this justice by any means necessary. America, since you will not heed the cries of our mothers and fathers who have lost their babies at the hands of a cruel, corrupt, criminal white police department and a broken judicial system, both either unwilling or just totally incapable of producing justice with them.
Okay. Talk to us about the race situation in America.
The race situation in America is extremely volatile, potentially explosive to say the least. We must act now or this ticking time bomb will explode. We who can must clearly articulate their legitimate, like I said, hurt, pain, and frustration with the corrupt, criminal white police department, and again, a broken judicial system, both either unwilling or just totally incapable of producing justice with them.
This is almost a no-brainer that in 2018 that race is still a factor.
To ignore race as a factor in determining how we should respond to other races would be a serious and costly mistake.
Yes.
It has been said that unless we learn from the lessons of history, that we will be condemned to repeat history. Dr. Philip McGraw, a prominent psychologist of our time, repeatedly says that the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. We as blacks have irrefutable evidence that our relationship to whites have always been troubled, lacking to say the least. Lacking to say the least. But it would be wrong of me, a fallacy, yes, fallacious, for me to condemn all whites, particularly whites of this generation who have done our people no harm. But it would be equally wrong of me not to recognize them for who and what they are. They are the children's and the children's children and the children's children. They are the benefactors, the white benefactors of our former slave masters. But if this generation of whites wants to show goodwill, good faith towards the black man, if they can want to explore a universal brotherhood amongst races, if they can want for the black man what they want for themselves, if they can undo and disavow the thinking and mindset of white supremacy, they can begin by giving children of slaves their deserved reparations. This would be the litmus test. Otherwise, this generation of whites would prove that they're no better than past generation of whites who have mistreated our fathers and our grandfathers and our great-grandfathers and our great-great-grandfathers century after century.
Do you actually, I'm going to go off script a little bit, do you actually think that that this generation, this current generation, has that capability?
I think every generation is given a small window of opportunity to make right the wrongs that past generations have made.
Okay. What are you most surprised about white America?
America, white America. I am amazed. I am astounded at your glaring lack of understanding of the black experience, your lack of sympathy, your lack of empathy, your lack of sensitivity. You are blinded by your own arrogance or just plain ignorance, eclipsed only by your stubbornness and overall unwillingness to learn from the errors of your way. America, white America, you speak as though you had clean hands, as if though you were removed from the guilt, the blame, the culpability, lending to the downfall, the destruction, and the demise of the black man and black woman in America. Only God can exonerate you from the sins you've made, but you cannot escape nor deny responsibility for the role you've played. Your conscience is seared, you're numb to the pain and suffering you've caused, and like the romantic fool, you wonder why love is lost.
You come across as unapologetic about the way you speak. using terms like white America. What do you say to your naysayers?
Please, don't look at me like I said something wrong. But I make no apologies for the way I speak. I will be held accountable before God and God alone that I was a mouthpiece.
All right.
That I was a voice of the voiceless. That their voice would be my voice. That their hurt would be my hurt. That their pain would be my pain. To articulate, enunciate, and communicate their inner hurt, pain, and frustration of what it is to be a black man and a black woman here in America. So I have to say, excuse me if I offend you. Excuse me if I come across a little too strong. Forgive me if I come across a little too black. But in the words of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., for you, America, there will be no rest nor tranquility. For the whirlwinds of revolt will continue to spin, shaking the very foundation of this nation.
Well, you've pretty much introduced yourself. So,
I have 2 poems to share. If you want
sure,
to.
but I'm going to ask you some questions.
That's fine.
So, how did you get involved in poetry? When was well, first of all, let me ask you a little bit about your background in terms of where were you born and raised, and where did you go to school?
I grew up in Washington, D.C. I'm a native Washingtonian, Howard University graduate.
Okay.
What
was your major in school?
History.
Okay.
History and theater.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, what happened is I relocated to Long Beach, California after I graduated from college.
Okay.
I relocated to Long Beach, California. I wanted to be an actor.
Okay.
I was bitten by the poetry bug out there, smitten. And that will forever change the trajectory of my life, set my feet on a path, and seal my fate as a poet.
Okay. So you had no aspirations of being a poet like before, like when you were in school? Like
Never conceived. I didn't think I was a writer, but I realized that I am a speechwriter. I'm a published author. I should have brought my book. I'll make sure you get it next time.
Okay.
And we'll let the audience know when it's up on Amazon.
Okay.
It's called The Urban Diary, Prominent Speeches of an American Griot.
Okay.
And it consists of 50 speeches that I've written over the past 8 years. Collection of HIV/AIDS, DC statehood, reparations, healthcare, race relation, war, tribute to Maya Angelou, tribute to Dorothy Height, tribute to Stevie Wonder, tribute to Maya Angelou. We got everybody covered. I get most of everybody covered. Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, Freddie Gray. So anything that's black and topical, I probably have already written about it.
Poem about it.
Yes.
Okay, so so you said the poetry bug bit you.
Yes.
And so what was your very first poem that you wrote?
Oh, I know what that was.
Okay, so recite it for us.
I can't recite it for you. I didn't memorize it.
Oh, okay.
But I was on television.
Oh, okay.
I was in California.
Okay.
President Barack Obama was running for president,
Okay.
and I called it. As a matter of fact, I was on my first interview, television interview.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking sharp.
Mm-hmm.
The hair was looking nice, looking good, smelling good. I called it a vote for Barack Obama.
Okay.
And Hillary lost in, if you remember, in that election.
Mm-hmm.
And it was called a vote for Barack Obama, and it outlines the purposes why we should run for such a distinguished and distinct figure, unlike any figure that we've had in U.S. presidency.
Mm-hmm.
And I said we shouldn't vote for him for the color of his skin, but vote for him for the character that lies deep within. So when we find ourselves with a Donald Trump, that's not a man of character. When we talk, Martin Luther King said, don't judge a man by the color of his skin, but judge him by the content of his character.
Yeah. Okay, so then after you relocated to Long Beach, and then how'd you find your way back here?
Actually, I got sick.
Okay.
And just in full disclosure, I secretly battled depression.
Okay.
Yeah, I battled depression for about 27 years.
Okay.
And it interfered with my ability to stay relocated in California. I was out there by myself. I had no friends, no family. I just up relocated. I was there. I did a film with Barack. I mean, with what's this guy name? Russ Parr.
Oh yes, okay.
Yeah, Russ Parr. I did this film. It was called Something Like a Business.
Okay.
The prostitution business.
Oh.
So I traveled 2,700 miles only for Hollywood to script me as a pimp.
Oh, okay.
But I've decided from there I will never let anybody script me. I've been able to write my own television series entitled The Urban Diary, and my second television series called The Poet Speaks. And that's where we have a showcase of a sharp black man, intelligent black man in front of television, so the young people can see, I want to be like that. Look at the representation he's giving. He said, this is what we need. This is what we need to see on television. So we must, like what you're doing, you are taking media and you are shaping it, and you're putting a picture of ourselves, and we can see ourselves, and we feel proud. We feel proud that you're on the radio, on internet radio. We always feel proud when we tune in and we can hear from you. We're proud of you. If no one else has said it, let me say it now and set the record straight. Let's give it up, Miss Paula.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you so much. And we're going to invite you, I'm going to invite you as a member of the organizing committee of the National Black Men's Convention to write a poem.
Oh, definitely. Most definitely.
Thank you.
Or you could use one of the 50 poems I've already written.
Well, it needs to be that talks about the National Black Men's Convention.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah. So I know
I can do that.
I know you can do that. So what do you do now? You are a poet.
Yes, I am a poet. Yes. I write. I just finished a music video. Unfortunately, my fiance passed away about a year ago, and I felt so compelled to honor her life. So I wrote the music video. I produced the music. I had an artist to sing on it, and it's now on YouTube. It's called Gone, just Gone, Gone. Because when she passed away, I said, "What is going on with me? She's not here. She's in heaven. What is she? She's just gone."
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I did that about a year ago, and I'm just getting back on my feet, getting back into the dating scene and everything like that. You know. But I had to put everything on hold because I wanted the film to have the raw emotions that anybody can identify with this music video. It's on YouTube. Steven Silver. Gone. You can look it up on YouTube. And anybody who've ever lost a mother, lost a son or a daughter, can feel this. Because what a poet is not just one who's gifted with rhythmic composition and beauty of thought. A poet is an empathizer.
Okay.
I can feel what you feel. I can say what others have difficulty saying. That's my gift. That's my calling. And it's my goal. I mean, every day I wake up with the same goal. I've done this for the past 10 years now. It's been 10 years since the California experience. And every day I wake up with the one goal, to be the most powerful black poet of the 21st century.
Okay.
My twin brother says I'm already there.
So, Stephen just mentioned his book, The Urban
Diary.
The Urban Diary. You said that it's not up on Amazon.
But it will
yet.
be soon.
It will be up on Amazon.
And let me say something about that.
Sure.
The Urban Diary is actually a television series too. And you can find that on Steven Silver, The Urban Diary, and you can look at all 3.5 hours of thundering poetry, thundering issues. We've got the minister, Mr. Louis Farrakhan. We talk about him.
Okay.
We talk about Maya Angelou. We talk about HIV/AIDS, DC statehood, reparations, healthcare, race relation, war, white Jesus. Easter is coming. My sister asked me if I would do a poem at a church. She said, "But don't do white Jesus."
Well, what kind of? I mean,
well,
progressive churches and conscious churches don't. They know that Jesus wasn't white.
Thank you.
I mean, they know. I mean, how can you hide in Egypt if you don't look like them
I
folks?
totally agree. Isn't that something? The scripture is so plain.
Yeah.
And if Jesus was white, then why would he run to Egypt to hide?
Yeah.
I got you on
Yeah.
that.
Yes. Yes.
I see the minister and you coming out.
Yes. Yeah.
I may be a poet, but I'm the poet with a pastor's heart.
Now, all right. Thank you so much. So, since have you done a poem on that person that's in the White House now?
Or 2 poems. One
Really?
is called Trump.
Okay.
There's one called Trump, and it's a fictitious poem. At the very end, I say, I hope I have accomplished the task for which I was hired. Check my account to see if the money's been wired. Knowing Donald Trump, perhaps I'm fired. And I felt compelled. See, when I write a poem, I don't write poems just to write. I wish I could never write another poem. But I feel compelled to write. I feel compelled. I feel the, like when you're about to vomit, the
Urgency.
muscles take over.
Yes.
And when I write, I have to write. And I'm there, I'm writing. And it comes out of me. I'm so exhausted afterwards. But the second poem I wrote, with reference to Donald Trump, is called If I Were King.
Recite it. Did you remember it?
I can't do that one right now.
Oh, okay.
It's not totally fresh in my memory. I wouldn't want to embarrass myself.
Okay.
I can do one that I'm already familiar with.
Okay.
And I will do
Why don't you do one about Barack Obama? Can you remember?
I don't get that one. I could do one on poetic justice.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay.
Okay. I recognize that the situation seemed dire and dark, but we must keep faith and march. Police arresting us without cause, overstepping boundaries, rules, protocols, and breaking laws. But the prosecution that we saw, what we saw is that no man is above the law. Yet here we are, it's becoming a ritual. Every time we turn around, we're performing another prayer vigil. And oh, how our hearts did sink. What did you think? Freddie Gray, hurtful to see his legs dragging, his pants sagging, forced into the police paddy wagon. You murdered him. And now we're here. As you try to instill our hearts with fear, the riot gear, the police ranks and military tanks. Technology, we're no match for your bag of tricks. Our arsenal, bottles, bricks, sticks, rocks, chunks of cinder blocks. Yet it does not help our plight. Burning down businesses in the night, destroying jobs, perceived as mobs. Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, Michael Brown in Missouri, America. Now you must face the fury of a new militant generation, without fear, without boundaries, without laws, rioting, looting, burning police cars. A people's outcry, oh why, but did Freddie Gray deserve to die? Baltimore City, we just had to stop by. Let you know that Washington, D.C. hears your cry. Because in every U.S. city, for blacks, it's a reality. Decades victims of police brutality, police presence, riot gear, preying upon the people's fear. And if you think this military presence is just a threat, you just wait. You haven't seen nothing yet. For there was a time we never thought they would, that the National Guard would invade the hood. But remember the 1960s? As we rose, they used police dogs and high-pressured water hose. Oh, but Dr. King, that moment he sees He used Gandhi's philosophy and brought a mighty nation to its knees. In America, you wonder why the unrest. To hell with your CVS. We can replace the CVS and the police cars that were burned, but Freddie Gray cannot return. So, my dear brothers and sisters, read between the lines, the chatter. Black lives, do they really matter? So I use my poetry as a form of protest to do my part to help solve this mess. But America, I warn you, America, I warn you, this unrest will not cease. For I contend where there's no justice, there is no peace.
I can't clap. I have carpal tunnel. This is great. That was so great.
Thank you.
You wrote that as a result of
Freddie Gray.
Freddie Gray.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Can't you feel, I know you're a minister, but can't you feel the presence of God?
Oh, yes.
I can feel the presence.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I make no pretense. I'm not the power behind the poet. God is the power.
Absolutely.
I can feel his energy coursing through my body when I deliver speeches. And my illness with depression, all I have to do is get into a quiet room, start reciting poetry. And like the demon that went away from, the spirit that went away from Saul when David would play the violin, all I do is do poetry, and then my mind clears up and I'm feeling right as rain.
Amen.
Amen.
Give us another one.
Okay, how about uncensored?
Uncensored?
Uncensored.
Okay.
Don't you dare try censoring me, for only truth brings us liberty. I'm not bound by what sounds nice. Being kind will not suffice. You'd have me to break my neck just to stay politically correct.
Whoa.
But I ask my people, who are we really trying to please? Now that I'm vocal, who must I appease? Treated like some dreaded disease. As for me, like Malcolm, I'd rather tell the truth, no matter how it may seem uncouth, 'cause I refuse to shuffle, to buckle, to bend, to bow. Why not kick the sacred cow? As a black leader, it's time for me to stand up now, to be strong and not weak. No longer our children slave master favor we seek. To say precisely what is on my mind. To run the risk of sounding unkind. All the time white folks say what's on their mind. Why don't we respond in kind? 'Cause I refuse to go along. You know, cover all my bases. I just love my people. Now I'm a racist. It's up to me to be an example. To break the bands from which we're shackled. I'm not a slave, so let me be. I was born to be free. This is my truth, your burden of proof. Yet it's not my goal to offend. So judge me by the spirit from which it is sent, because truth is not always pleasant. I cannot dress it up like some Thanksgiving pheasant. I say truth is not always pleasant. I cannot dress it up like some Thanksgiving pheasant. So I will say what needs to be said, though kings may decree to take my head. To speak fearlessly, with power, to discern the time of the black man's day and hour. For we as a people have been severely broken, stripped and reduced to the white man's token. Silence, waterless hydrants, clouds without water, taught not to respond but obey master's order. Suck it up, and you better not shout, and don't neglect to show the white man respect. White man, I'm not your slave, I'm not your peasant. What I have to say now is not very pleasant. I'm not a slave, I will be heard, because I'm only as free as my spoken word.
Amen. Amen. You deliver with such power. Well, as you said, it's the power of God behind you and in you.
Yes, ma'am.
That's great. That's great. Sometimes we ask people to call in, and sometimes people will hit us up on Facebook. But if you have any questions or anything that you want to ask Stephen, you can call in. There's the number right there, 301-429-9247. Or even if you want to contact him to do a poem at a function, you do that.
I sure do. Yes, I do.
If you want to contact him to do a poem at a function that you might be having at a church or any other kind of event, you can reach him. You want to give out your contact information?
Yes,
yes, sure.
My name is Stephen Silver, Stephen spelled with a V. You can look up The Urban Diary by Stephen Silver. Like I said before, that's over 3.5 hours of poetry on issues of our day in Black America. If there's anything written about blacks, I've written it already. It's there. I believe I'm that comprehensive. I've been doing this for 10 years. You can also reach me on Facebook, again, Stephen with a V, Steven Silver. You can find me on Facebook and many pieces on YouTube. If you pull it up on your computer, you'll see other programs and projects that I've worked on.
Okay. Do you have any other poems that you can recite for us?
I sure do. Okay, I got one.
Okay.
Give me just 1 second.
Sure.
Apathy. Pop, pop! This foolishness has got to stop. Somebody just robbed and killed Red Dragon's mom and pop. It happened in the hood. A few up to nothing good. But wherein lies the answer? Violence spreading like malignant cancer. And then we heard the news. For a minute we are amused. Somebody's been accused. Once again we are confused. For a few seconds our disgust is mutual. 5 minutes later it's back to business as usual. Because apathy is the root of our moral atrophy. But the true test is what we do next. There's something wrong in our society when we cannot see, hear, or feel the sobriety. A crime notably and seemingly misplaced. Oh, what a waste, what a bad taste. Truly without reason or rhyme, the grit or the grime, such a terrible crime. We are tempted to just turn the channel. Simply place it upon life's mantle. Yet this stuff must cease. Can't blame the police, so let us attack, not merely react. Don't doubt it, think about it. What if it were your people who were killed? Then would it be a big deal? What should we do? Logic dictates this question we must diligently pursue, because all I'm asking is, what's the true crime we're masking? Oh, the answer's not hard. What if it happened in your backyard? Yes, what would you do? What would you do? What would you do if it happened to you? Oh, this violence, we say we hate it, yet we merely masquerade it, stealthily manipulate it, like water rising unabated. Yet are we the ones who create it, the way we tolerate it? Oh, but this environment of hatred, when nothing seems to be sacred. The problem is bigger, go figure, why did they put the gun's trigger? I dare to bet it is society who created such a mindset. This need for just such a little respect that seems so small, that created the gall that started it all, that created the character flaws, behavior bound by no religious laws. When our communities are soiled, like seething cauldrons, our blood must boil. Apathy. It's wrong when we don't feel the pain, like a little old woman walking in the rain. Yet this indifference, I swear, We as a people gotta care. Take action or reduce your neighbor to an abstraction. Because all I'm asking for you to do is simply put yourself in another man's shoes.
Wow. Powerful. What was the story behind you writing that poem?
It happened a couple of years ago in my neighborhood. It was broadcasted that they called the mama, the Korean store owners. The mother was shot and killed, and her husband was shot and killed just by some random individual. And it was so penetrating. I said, that's apathy. Apathy is when we turn the channel, forget about what happened in business as usual. That's apathy. Apathy is indifference. I think one person once said, the anger is profitable, but apathy, there's nothing you can redeemable about it. Apathy.
Do you think that because of the repeated amount of violence that has been brought against black people as a whole in this country, that some black people have become apathetic, that, you know, I just saw on the internet where the police, a white police officer, killed a black man in his own backyard, and all he had was a cell phone, and they thought he had a gun. There was barely an outcry. There was barely anything that was...
Can I respond with a poem?
Sure,
okay.
Sure.
I call this poem Connect the Dots. You got to work with me with this one.
Okay.
Yeah. American, America, between your walls we black folk have in him. Within a corrupt, criminal, white police system, we are witnessing an all-out assault against black people. America, white America, you have killed our young. You have killed our old. You have killed those in between. You have killed countless of unarmed black folk in 2018. Oh, but oh, what do we as righteous men say when men refuse to see the errors of their way? I know the situation seems bleak. I know the situation seems dire. But why the hell do we seem to keep putting out fires? Black people, open your eyes. Stop being surprised. I know in your hearts for justice you yearn, but perhaps we've reached the point of no return. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, justice too long delayed is justice denied. So, no, we are not satisfied. Like military men, their secret mission has already been planned and discussed. So what does white America have in store for us? Brothers and sisters, connect the dots.
Connect the dots.
Slavery.
Connect the dots.
Civil war.
Connect the dots.
Segregation.
Connect the dots.
Subjugation.
Connect the dots.
Discrimination.
Connect the dots.
Failed integration.
Connect the dots.
Gentrification.
Connect the dots.
Infiltration.
Connect the dots.
Elimination. This ongoing feud between the races has degenerated into an all-out war with the police, a war in which they have guns and we do not. But it's plain to see when you
connect the dots.
Connect the dots.
Elimination. Once the Emancipation Proclamation became into law, so kind of, there really has been no use for black folks.
Exactly, no more work. They have no more work for it. The grunt work is being performed by Hispanics. Hispanics, our brown brothers, have taken our place. White America does not want to own up to the reparations that deserve the children of slaves. Dr. Martin Luther King said that segregation, you got to pass on segregation. It didn't cost you anything. As a matter of fact, you profited from segregation because we went to your stores and we went to your hotels, which we were banned at one time from. He said you got it on a discount rate. He said, but in order to offset the racial inequalities that exist in America, it's going to take billions of dollars. Martin Luther King was a sociologist. He thought like a sociologist. And he told you, he said, my dream, talking about I have a dream speech. Look it up. He said, my dream has become a nightmare. He said, maybe I was a little bit too superficial that day. He said, but I've done a lot of soul searching and I've thought a lot about it. And we have some difficult days ahead of us. Martin Luther King. I end with this?
Sure.
Martin.
But we got some more time.
Oh, sure. Okay. I like to say, I'm made of this stuff, and I try to teach our young people. Let me say something about our young people. We must be careful. I shared that, didn't I? I shared that. Let me hit that again.
Yes, sure.
We must be careful. We must be mindful that we're not raising a generation of cowards.
Yes.
We must be careful. We must be mindful that we're not transferring our cowardice on to our children, for our babies. Our children are looking to us. So we must teach them, train them to fight with those who fight with us. Teach them, train them, mold them and make them. Teach them the hidden power behind the spoken word. Teach them how to transform mere words into powerful, thoughtful expressions. Loose the knot in their tongues. Teach them not to be cowards, but to be bold and brave, from the cradle to the grave.
Amen. Amen. Do you think that that this integration thing affected our young people's, or even our ability to be bold and to speak out against that which we see? I have been in situations where I've seen black people openly disrespected, and they just let it go. Just let it go instead of checking them folks.
Yes. Never has there been a time so crucial, as I said, to break our silence, to stand up and speak out on what we feel is right and just. This is the time. I see activism in the air. The Malik Zulu Shabazz is over the Black Men's Movement. We're having a rally in April on the Big Chair in Washington, D.C., Southeast, and we're going to march, bring 10,000 black men there. And because we're tired of seeing what we're seeing. We're seeing the black man is being pushed aside. We see this apathy towards and indifference towards these remarks that the commander-in-chief is making, calling us SHIT countries. His mouth is much too foul, too putrid. Every day we can expect for him to say something crass or borderline stupid. I know he sees himself as boss, but the people's respect he have lost, for he has crossed the line. The thing that bothers me the most, that really itches, what the hell do you mean calling our African-American brothers sons of? His legacy is a joke. His presidency is already up in smoke. Make America great again? Tell me, Mr. President, tell me when. When was America great? When was it grand? When you stole land from the native man? Was it great when chattel slavery was the order of the day? Was it great when women had no voters' say? Was it great because of segregation? Was it great because the birth of an idea of an Aryan nation? Was it great when the great buffalo bison became nearly extinct? Was it great when the Great Depression, when an uncollapsible economy tanked and sank? Tell me, Mr. President, tell me when. What the hell do you mean by great again? He can still save face. Just retire. The people are sick and tired. In your own infamous words, you're fired. Now that has a poetic ring. Yet all these things I do, you're fired. Word. King. But what do I know? I'm just a poet.
That was great. That was absolutely
I
great.
had fun.
It's great. We have just a little bit more time.
Oh, sure.
Do you have some more for those who and Stephen reminded me to make this announcement. The National Black Men's Convention is rapidly coming upon us. It will be April 18, 19, 20. The march is on the 21st, as Stephen said, from the big chair in Southeast all the way to the White House. There will be people who will be speaking and doing poetry, and there will be music. And the convention will be there will be some conveners and some presentations at Shiloh Baptist Church, 1500 9th Street Northwest in the district. And I'm going to invite you to be on. When I just heard you, I'm going to invite you to do something else.
Sure, I'll be back.
At the convention. I know I gave you an assignment, but I have another assignment for you. I haven't even talked to you about. But and Stephen and other artists will be there presenting, and so we ask you to go to Eventbrite and purchase your ticket. And you will be very much pleased with the cadre of national and international male and female presenters who will be at the National Black Men's Convention April 18, 19, 20, March 21st. The march is on the 21st, and then reconvening at Shiloh on Sunday the 22nd. So, Stephen.
Yes.
Wind us up with one last poem.
One more poem? Okay.
One more poem.
Let's see, how about Stop the Silence?
Okay.
Our mission, first and foremost, is to serve local neighborhoods in the D.C. metropolitan area. Those who in the face of violence have lost their nerves. Neighborhoods, victims of violence. Those who in the aftermath of violence continue to shriek back into a perpetual state of fear and silence. Our mission is to comfort those who shed tears. For we are a small cadre of local businesses, neighbors, and volunteers. Yet what we fail to see is that we don't merely have a violence problem, but more accurately, a silence problem. And the only thing more criminal than violence is this incredulous silence. In our neighborhoods, drug dealers are shooting tit for tat. We will not, cannot stand for that. Too many people in their homes held captive. We've got to be creative and more proactive. In this day, we've got to do more than pray. We've got to be too righteous to kill, too proud to steal. There are drugs we've got to be too smart to deal. Oh, but the silence of the church. People let down and hurt. People have grown increasingly cynical. Why? Because Jesus Christ is no longer pinnacle. Yet we stand for the brotherhood of man. In the spirit of Christ, we stand to lend a hand. I seek to empower the public through the power of poetry on important positions pertinent to the plight of the African American community, which is essential to the unity of the African American community, speaking out on issues such as conscience, HIV/AIDS, DC statehood, reparations, health care, race relations, war. Powerful poetry you can't ignore. Poetry you never heard before, because the voice of our time is rhythm and rhyme, and we're in this together like birds of a feather, so let's stick together. From me, yours truly, Stephen Silver, a.k.a. the American Grill, the poet, now you know it.
Thank you so much, Stephen. You have been listening to for almost clearly an hour.
And my last interview was